So, hi everyone, thanks for coming along to WordCamp Belfast as one of the organising team. It's great to see so many people here today. We're all here because we love WordPress, am I right?
Yeah.
Good, that's a good start. I'm here to talk about what not to do with WordPress because over the last 10 plus years I've a lot of experience using WordPress to create and manage websites. The content is mainly targeted at small business owners, freelancers and smaller agencies doing website design work using WordPress as their primary tool. WordPress is obviously a free and scalable and flexible and rather fabulous CMS tool that we all use and use it to create and manage cool websites. How come that most WordPress websites are not cool? We've all seen some really awful websites, whether they're non-responsive or they have poor user experience, poor layouts, poor sitemap, or simply just poor text content. And as the speakers before me have highlighted, the importance of content. For me, content includes the experience of the user when they visit your website. The reasons for poor websites are manifold. Anything from lack of funds for investment into the business website to laziness or ignorance. Now, this isn't ignorance of the negative kind. It's just simply when you don't know. Look at some pretty crap websites. Partyshop.ie, operating in Dublin for 32 years. For me personally, the design in this website lacks quite a bit because it's not clear what they're trying to do. There's no clear calls to action. The images are quite poor quality. Some of them are even pixelated. And for me, they fail to connect with the audience at an emotional level. These guys, eSave Corporation, they are a R&D website, R&D company creating solutions for cost savings in the renewable energy sectors. It's a very text-heavy website. You might notice that the text is lined up right next to the images. It creates for very poor user experience, and they do have inconsistencies in design that, lots of empty space. There's no consistency as you flow from page to page. Beautify.ie. Actually, if you visit their website and scroll right to the bottom, they have one line in their text that says, everybody is entitled to feel beautiful both inside and outside. With a message like that, I don't get that from first glance. I don't get it in the first 2 seconds. I get the feeling that it's just a site that sells products. So in my opinion, these guys are missing out, losing out, because they've tried to concentrate on other things rather than user experience. This kind of websites, they really get me worked up, hurt my feelings. I look at it in despair because all those businesses, one of them has been in business for 32 years plus. One of them is trying to make people feel good. The other one is doing some very high-end R&D work. The websites don't match the business profiles, the company profiles. And for me, the beauty is not just in the visuals. It's about creating visual consistency. So, you have a consistent layout with the colors, the fonts, and all of that. Also, forming an emotional connection with your audience. So if we take the Party Shop website, for example, they're selling agents of fun, for want of a better expression, things that you use at a party and have fun with, yet their pictures are very functional. I think on product pages, functional images are great, but on the home page, on the About Us page, they need to be able to create an emotional connection. So a picture of a group of people using their product and really feeling the enjoyment out of it would be way better than having 4 product shots. The eSave website that we looked at, they're trying, I know the company quite well, and it's a startup doing R&D at the moment. They don't even have product going to market yet. Their target market is investors. Investors are very busy people with very little time. They're not going to sit down and scroll through your website. What they'd rather have is a download that they can take while they're driving, while they're being driven rather, or flying around somewhere, that they can read, that they can touch, they can feel. they like to have something in their hand. They won't read the website. And the Beautify website, well, I've said it all. I mean, they have a very clear, concise, rather emotional message, yet they fail to deliver it at first glance. So that kind of design means that somebody somewhere failed to deliver for these businesses. And that's where I come in to tell you what not to do with WordPress. This isn't about technical details. This isn't about knowing how to write code or how to make your code better. This is about how to engage with the audience and how you can miss the mark by doing things you shouldn't be spending time on. Let's go back to the beginning a little bit just to recap. We use WordPress because it's well documented. There's the codex, the WordPress codex is there, lots of support. Lots of developers out there writing plugins, writing themes, writing add-ons. It is a flexible solution. You can pretty much do whatever you want for your website. It is scalable. So if you have different market verticals, you can use the multi-site approach, target those verticals rather effectively while having to while minimizing the amount of management you need for the parent website. So those are the good things. They're technical details. To borrow words from the great Charles Darwin, ignorance more frequently begets confidence. The issue is that there are pitfalls, there are challenges and issues that you don't even know about yet. I'm here to tell you what those are, to make you wary of them so you can keep them in mind when you're planning and designing the websites. Business owners, do you ever feel like a man who jumped out of a plane hoping the parachute will open and you land safely? You're taking the risk. You're taking a risk to go out on your own, put a website out there to generate leads, to convert them, and to create cash flow, to make a living. One of the first things a lot of people have asked me in my experience is, WordPress is easy. I'll just do the website myself. I'll put up 4 pages, I'll put up the text, and away I go. Absolutely, you can do that. There's no two ways. We're all intelligent people, we can do that. The issue is, the website isn't just a sum of content and images, sum of text and images. You need to plan the user experience. So if you think back to the Beautify website, you need to be able to engage with the customer so they want to click. Remember, you are not standing behind their shoulders telling them where to click, where to go, what to do, when to buy, how to buy. By the way, my checkout is a 4-step process. Please go to step 2, 3, and 4. You're not there with them. You need to take them on that journey. So invariably, I tell people, step away from the computer. Go back to your pen and paper and draw out that journey, literally by hand. What you want them to do when they are on your website. Draw it out. And invariably, these people have the aha moment and they go, I never thought of that. Or I thought, my way was more complicated. I was complicating things. Because then they start thinking like their end customer, right? So just plan that experience. Plan the journey you want the customer to take. The thing is, WordPress makes it so easy to put up content. It doesn't mean you should just launch into it. Plan the experience. WordPress is free, so I'll do it myself. And because anybody can do it. Yes, anybody can do it. And a small percentage of people can work in their business, on their business, can create great websites and manage them. Large majority of us have skills that, outside of which we're or can get very uncomfortable. Invariably, the websites that start their lives with this kind of thinking don't pay attention to the user experience and the finer details of design. These are the websites that you will see on the web that have 1 column of content, suddenly going into 2 columns, back to 3, back to 4, back to 2. Real inconsistent design. You may not think too much of it, but it's actually very painful to read the content, isn't it? If your content is constantly changing widths, changing layouts, you find it hard to engage with them. The WordPress as a free tool is great, but it does not replace the need for good design. So now that you've planned the experience in the previous step, now you need to kind of design it to make sure that it's consistent, your color palette is consistent. I have known people who want to use 20 colors on their website. Anybody here like the idea of 20 colors on a single page? No, because it doesn't work. Sorry?
And many are flashing.
The old-fashioned GIFs. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work. We're used to having very little time browsing the websites on our phones while we're driving home, or sorry, not driving. Don't do that. We're scrolling through them, we're scanning through them. We have milliseconds, maybe a second to engage with it. So we have to be really careful and do good, design the experience. Have you ever met somebody who says, I found a theme on ThemeForest, why can't I just install that and I'll be done with it? The themes are great. Themes are absolutely wonderful. They allow you to change the layouts of your website pretty much by installing a new piece of software on your website, and away you go, without having to change content or worrying about layouts too much. You can use Visual Composer like plugins to create custom layouts. But these are only tools that help you achieve that experience you've designed, not create it for you. You will now see a theme running through that it's all about creating and designing that experience. WordPress is an excellent tool. The templates are very good to help us do stuff. You might see a theme with a demo content and you decide to go with it. That's great, but would you put an image slider on the homepage if your business doesn't need one? No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't do it because your competitor does it either. You should do it because your customer wants it, because your customer expects it. So we did a project for a consulting engineering company, and they had a brilliant story to tell. They'd been in business for 110 years. Their old website had it in the top right corner somewhere, in business for over 100 years. They need an image slider to tell that story in big letters, big bold letters, right in above the fold. Guys, we know we can do this. After that, everybody will scroll and look through that. So you need to be able to tell that story, and do it because it's expected and needed, not just because you saw it somewhere. As a good business coach will tell you, you should only concentrate on money-generating activities. As a good web consultant, I will tell you, only put in the components that your customer wants to see there. Not just because they exist and have funny animation effects. Also, I've even seen websites where it is very clear that the designer used the images that came with the template, with the theme. I see a few wry smiles. I think people have seen that. The thing is, the images again have to create context. So as the example in the party shop that I was saying, that if you had an image of people playing with one of their balloons and running around after it with kids laughing, or in case of a chocolate maker, you could have a child whose face is covered with melted chocolate and a big smile and a half-eaten chocolate in his or her hand. That's an image that will create engagement. That has an emotional reaction from us. So you only use images where they're necessary. You can still use colored backgrounds with stylized text to create the same level of engagement if your business is such that it doesn't need images. There are businesses that don't need too many images, but you need to be able to let your text stand out. So use other techniques. I have found the template code. I'll just edit it, create a new layout, and away I go. That is so true. I've seen people do it. The good thing about that is that you're thinking about the user experience. You're trying to change the layouts, you're trying to change the customer behavior, you're trying to take them on a journey a specific way. Great. Bad thing, there are 4 issues with this. 1, if you don't know where to find it, you're going to spend too much time looking for the code. Now that is valuable time away from your core business activities. 2, you might make edits in the wrong template. So it might work on the page you wanted it on, but now it's carried over to some other pages on the website. See, again, you're spending time locating all the effects of the change, time away from your business. You're making the edits in the parent templates, so every time you update, they get overwritten. Now you're spending more time finding those places where you edited and re-editing them in. And last is that you actually don't update WordPress and themes for fear that you're going to lose those changes. That is very insecure. So it's just, you know, the flexibility is there, the tool is great, the themes are great, the plugins are great, but just be mindful that sometimes, you know, you have to just concentrate on the business. Don't let the new shiny tool let you get carried away. Theme has a ton of features I need, so let's get everything online. Have you ever felt like writing content for your website, sat down and ended up with a booklet in your hand? Because you've gone into the zone and you've written about 20 pages of content. And then you feel, I'll publish it all. I will publish it all. Have you ever been to a restaurant where a chef has put 30 ingredients in a dish? How does that feel? It feels awful because some of the ingredients are totally out of place. They're not needed. He can create a dish with 5 ingredients, make it look good, make you want to pay for it and eat it multiple times over. That's exactly what we need here. Just because we have written it, and yes, we have spent valuable time writing it, doesn't mean we need to publish it straight away. Our businesses evolve from startup to growth phase and the whole life cycle. Our websites need to work in hand with that. Going back to one of the examples eSafe, they're in early investment phase. They just need to have a website that targets the investor audience. Have white papers, have return on investment studies, downloads that they can take home, read, engage with. As they grow, as their product goes to market, now they need technical spec, technical details, other white papers, case studies of customers having saved money using their solution, and maybe even a contact form, a gated download, so they can collect marketing information. So the website has to evolve with the business. It wouldn't be fruitful for them to put it all on day 0, because then they have this asset that won't work for their business, because you and I are going to get lost in that sea of information. So don't publish everything. Yes, spend time writing it. It's important, understand the importance of it, but match it with your business life stage. And finally, security, as far as small business owners go, it is popular it's popular with hackers as well, unfortunately. Mostly, large percentage is what's known as DDoS, or denial of service, or brute force attacks. And yes, you are vulnerable, but then so is Windows. We still use it because it's well supported and there's a lot of applications out there to work with it. That's why we use WordPress, because it's supported and it can do stuff we want it to do. So just step back and recognize that if you have core business skills and these are outside of your comfort zone, your skill base, get somebody in to get it done right. Find a partner to work with you through the journey, who can become as invested. So maybe you just do need a professional developer sometimes. There's no harm in asking for help. I showed you some bad websites. Now, businesses that think of their website as strategic sales tools, design them, plan them, and get the experts, whether in-house or contracted, when they get the expertise on board, you end up with websites like this. In 30 milliseconds flat, if you recognize the skyline, you know what the website is about. Mind you, the logo in the top left corner gives it away. It's Dublin.ie. It's about promoting Dublin as the place to be. 4 words, the world plays here. Sums it all. Now you'll want to scroll and see, well, what does the world do in Dublin? Apart from the fact that the skyline looks good with brightly lit up time-lapse photo and the skyline, it's brilliant. But those are the 4 words that have captured you, made you scroll down. Unfortunately, there's bad news there, but anyway. But you're up to date, and you've read it. And you will remember this website because it looked good. It gave you what you wanted. Melville Design. It's a French company that specializes in creating living spaces through their design fittings and furniture concepts. If you look at the About Us section on this website, they say that their design is inspired by clean lines of the Swedish design methodology, or Nordic, sorry. And if you scroll through their website, you will see those very clean lines carrying through to their website. If you look at the images, they do have very sharp lines and stuff. But the thing is, they're carrying their brand brand message, their philosophy through to their website. So when you scroll through their website, you really feel engaged with it. You can relate that, yes, I can see those clean lines everywhere on the website. So it's a continuous experience from their offline world to the online world. The New Yorker. How many news websites have we seen that, you know, don't give space to the content to stand out? It's so cramped. Like the old Yahoo page. I think people remember that.
Yeah.
It's so crowded, you don't even want to click, or you're lost in a sea of links or whatever. This website does it really well. The images have a lot of space to stand out, so does the text. The synopsis is limited to a couple of lines. You'll want to read more. You engage with it, and it's done on a very flat white background, which is really modern design techniques. By the way, all the 6 websites that I've shown you are WordPress websites, so you know it can be done, and it can be done poorly as well, as you saw. Finally, as a business owner, all you need to remember is website isn't just text and images and a collection of those two. It's like a tool. It's a sales tool that is much greater than the sum of its parts. Together, it's like an orchestra. When you put the sitemap, the colors, the layout, the fonts, the taxonomy, the story that you put out there, the photography that you use, you're taking your visitors on a journey. WordPress is merely the conductor of, to use the term, orchestra that you put out there for people to see. Used well, it can create great symphonies. Where does it all come from, though? Well, the little boy in that picture is me, and all I cared about back then was that sandwich, my favourite sandwich. I'm like that with anything I love. And I love what I do. I'm a self-taught WordPress developer and designer. I've spent time on my hands and knees trying to find problems, trying to find issues, resolve them, making mistakes along the way, but learning from them. So I'm just here to share them with you. I've evolved from being a hobbyist enthusiast who came home at 6 o'clock in the evening, put on the dinner and just looked at the code because my background is engineering. But I've turned pro. I own a business that survives because of WordPress. Haven't looked back since I turned pro. I have made many mistakes, and I'm sure I'll make many more. But if I can help any one of you avoid one single mistake that I made, I'll have spent my time well. Does anybody know what that means?
Yeah. It depends on how really you want to do it. Probably exists between keyboard and client or customer.
Or chair.
Yeah.
So it's one of my favorite engineering nerdy expressions. Problem exists between keyboard and chair. That's us, by the way. Sometimes you're sitting there and when you get in front of a computer, you get zoned in, which is why I tell anybody that's planning a website, step away. Step away from that keyboard and chair. Get your pen and paper. Feel it. Need for change. With every mistake I made, I changed the way I worked, changed the way I talked to clients, changed the way I used WordPress, changed the way I looked at it. So I went from hacking into themes, which is one of the things I highlighted, to now writing child themes, so it's done properly, it's robust, it's future-proof. We have to be flexible because the tools are constantly evolving, so we have to be flexible. Some of the common things that freelancer and smaller agencies might encounter in their startup days. Has anybody gone to this kind of extreme length of when they're planning a website to sell to a customer? Overly simplified. I can install WordPress quickly, I can do a theme install quickly, I can do the sitemap. 5 hours, I'll round it up. 5 hours, I have a website, it's done. But what have you done here? You've done nothing for your customer. You haven't created value for them. Yes, you become a provider you become another service provider to them that gets paid, and fine, great. But that's not how your business is going to grow. Websites, as we saw, are more than just collection. There's proper sales tool that grow and evolve with the business. You need to become a valued service provider. You need to go on that journey with your customer and take their customer on the purchase journey. That's not the way to do it. When we start out, sometimes we can be guilty of saying 5-hour websites, great, I'll earn money. Unfortunately, this thing is the quickest way to the bottom, because now you're starting to compete on price instead of value. As the property programs on some of the TV channels say, location, 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 as a website provider, website consultant or online specialist, think about value, value, value for your customer. You need to, get rid of this model, because we've grown past this. We've grown past this. I do understand, though, at the beginning of your self-employed journey as a WordPress developer, it's easy to fall into this trap, because money coming in is better than money not coming in. But plan it in your business roadmap to grow out of this as quickly as possible. This is one of my favorites, because I have an engineering background. I'll make the site perfect. The problem with perfection is it's relative. My perfection is different from your perfection, is different from that person's perfection. I like my websites loading up in 1.5 seconds. My customer is happy with 2.5 seconds. I should not unnecessarily spend the time trying to get down from 2.5 seconds to 1.5 seconds. If it's outside the reasonable kind of time spending boundaries. Because you're taking time away from your business. Just as we said about small business owners taking time out of their core activities, you can go beyond the call of duty. You can be available for support, you can be available for consultation, you can be available to share your expertise and your experience. Sometimes, though, when it comes to technical activities, it's better to quantify and agree the specification and go a little bit beyond it. Because if it's okay for SEO, if it's okay for your customer, that's enough. And I have done this myself. I've spent nights working on code because I can make it better. At the end of the day, the customer doesn't recognize the value in it because they don't see it. And you just spent, or I did anyway, 7 hours working on it. 7 very expensive hours, not getting paid though. So, quantify everything. Be a little bit militant with your time. There's no problem. Yeah. Just like the small business owner counterparts, freestyling, launching into it as an agency or a freelancer, not a good idea, because you're going to end up burning more time than you think. Again, plan your time, plan your effort, and plan the budgets properly, carefully. Take the time to do it. Take an extra hour to do it, because that's what's going to stand you in good stead as you grow. This slide I like because it simplifies things down to numbers, which, well, don't lie. Average working year is 50 weeks if you take 2 weeks holidays. 40 hours working average week. It's 2,000 working hours. And unless you're a lawyer, you're not going to be able to bill for 2,000 hours. If you're good, you can get to maybe 75%. And if your hourly rate is £60, that's your earning potential in 1 year. It's a bit stark, but that's what it comes down to. It's a limited resource. Just use it cleverly and wisely. And that's where, getting outside help isn't the worst idea, because you can save time here to use it elsewhere and make a lot more money than you will ever invest in hiring somebody. Hiring an expert, the right expert, who's willing to go on that journey with you, because they will believe that they can grow with you. In conclusion, I'll borrow wise words from founder of Buddhism, Gautam Buddha. There's no wealth like knowledge and no poverty like ignorance. I've just simply wanted to share my experience, my expertise, and my knowledge that I've built up in the last 10 plus years to to showcase some of the common pitfalls that people encounter. In summary, these are: be careful about planning plan the experience, design that experience, and then deliver it to your customer, both as business owners and agencies. And value your time, because it's a valuable resource. WordPress is an excellent tool that allows us to create and achieve great things in the online universe. But it's only as good as a user who is using it. It needs to be used properly to create the best results. Don't get lost in its intricacies, the technical intricacies, if they're outside your core skill base. Ask somebody. It's hidden behind the presenter view. The hashtag WNTDWWP is just a collection of my wisdom, and I like acronyms, sorry. I'd just like to wish you well in your WordPress journeys. Encourage you to share your experiences, your knowledge, your challenges and your successes on that hashtag, so we can all learn and grow together. Because WordPress, one of the core values is collaboration. I'll have the slides available for download later, and I'll open the floor to any questions.
When you talk to your clients about the priority and focus of visual design, of user experience, of that feeling, and they have the pressure, we just need something that's out there that works, that I need to have presence right now.
Yeah.
What techniques, what methods do you use to actually really get them to understand the value of the design element, and they're supposed to just get a presence up there because you need sales or
Okay,
exposure?
so there's a twofold thing. There's an immediate need that we need to address, and it's a valid need because they want their business online. And even the most sympathetic person to design techniques will want something online very quickly. But depending on the person, I use a twofold method sometimes, whereas we agree to do a very quick one-page website where it gets the basic information, still with very good design elements up there. They have a presence, and in the background continue talking to them, continue to showcase what good design can do, almost educating them. That's where I was saying you need to add that value. You know, you can come in and say, I can do a website for you in days and it'll cost you, let's say, €200. And somebody else will come in, it'll take 3 weeks and it'll cost you €4,000. There's a huge difference, yes, and I'm exaggerating, but that person is going to create value because they're going to teach you along the way. They're going to tell you this will work because they have years of experience telling you, or telling them what's right, and you know, they will educate you. And they won't be too precious about it either, about their ideas. Because at the end of the day, the good designers know that they can work together with the customer. So I use personally a twofold kind of, yes, agree to the immediate goals, immediate needs, but also address their longer term needs. Any more questions?
Where did the 75% come from?
It's as in my previous job, we used to say strategic wild ass guess or swag, not the same swag. No, it's an educated guess. Usually, actually, it's probably only about 60% of the time, because you'll spend time in business development, you'll spend time commuting, you'll spend time doing a whole host of activities along the way. And if you're working from home, maybe putting on the washing machine as well. But it's an educated guess.
You say like how, you know, you don't want to be too perfect, you know, there's a limit to perfection, everyone's different. So, how do you know when enough is enough? How do you guess that really? But
through experience, actually. Because as I said, at the beginning, I spent 7 hours on a website trying to make it, you know, I was writing a plugin actually, and the execution times and whatever. To be honest with you, their website, the target market was in Ireland only, in Dublin only, and their data server was in Dublin itself. I wasn't going to gain too much out of it. But yeah, that's one thing that you just learn by experience. You get an intuitive feeling for it as you progress, that, you know, this is the enough point. Or sometimes if it's the plugin, necessarily the loading, the execution time the customer wouldn't see, but if the front end, like I work with a designer and he will actually sit there with me and go, I wanted that 3 pixels wide, and if it's 4 pixels, he will notice it and he'll say, I want 3 pixels. And that, yes, it only takes 2 minutes to fix, but all the 2 minutes add up. So, learned experience. Well, if there's no more questions, we'll wrap this up.
Just if you're working with a client who's saying, I want flash movies, and for example, or just they have this idea that's set in, how do you work around that and that you could to try and tell them this is more simplified approach, or maybe nearly minimalist approach is more valuable to you in the long term?
Yeah. So when I started on my journey a while ago as a pro, I tended to give in to the customer going, let's just give them what they want. And it happened. And then I would sit back and go, it's not good. It's not good enough. So now I would sit down with the customer and go, look, actually I start off with the Apple website. Go, this is the simplified version, look what it can do. And suddenly something tends to click with them. That they go, oh, actually, yeah, that is very simple. And that really works. A classic example I have is I worked with a construction company, and they had this thing of lots of images, lots of moving machinery, and it'll be great. No, you're still building houses. I want shots of the inside of the house, gutted out, half built, finished. Why? Because now I'm taking you on a journey, and it took me 3 months to convince that customer to come around, just through conversation after conversation. Admittedly, they were only 2 minutes each time. They weren't like huge time sinkholes. Well, you take them on the journey, and at the end of the day, look, if they don't buy it, you've done your best. Okay, well, we'll wrap up then, because I think